Well, Mark, 5-0 this game last season. So I suppose a nice little repeat would be just perfect, but it never really works like that. And I guess you're expecting a much tougher one this time around.
That seems ages ago. The fact that you've just mentioned that, wow, that's a long time ago. Yeah. I think that was a very out there result last year. At the time, I said that won't happen very often. They were a strong side last year, obviously came up with us. Very different this year, change of manager, change of lots of players, but there is some that still remain, so slightly different. And their run of form recently, they're probably a bit disappointed with, but similar to Doncaster, Shrewsbury, their home form has been excellent. They've had some brilliant results at home, so it's more the away form that's cost them. So we know how tough a game that will be tomorrow, and we've got to give ourselves the best chance of going and getting something from the game and keep adding to the total that we're on.
Yeah, it's no mean feat really to have started the season so strongly, and that to get promotion, to have all of that drama, and then to end up changing manager. That's a difficult thing for a club to overcome.
I imagine so. Yeah, it's a strange scenario really, but Derek's record has been excellent. He did ever so well there, and the move came in the summer that he felt was right for him. So obviously, from their point of view, they've recruited someone in Stephen who coaches his teams in a good style, and he's had a good record so far. And similar to us, they've made a decent start to a new level, as have all the promoted teams. So I'm sure they'll want to continue that improvement like us.
Yeah, you guys, all of the sides that went up over the summer, it's great, isn't it, for teams in League Two looking at what you've done so far. I know we're only a third into the season, but all four of you showing how you can adapt.
Absolutely, yeah. It's like you say, still in some respects it's a good marker to look at, third of the season. In others, it's still a long way from the end of it. So we have to maintain the momentum, and really, I guess the comparisons between us and them aren't so relevant. They're just one of or a handful of 23 teams we're competing against. So overall, where we finish or how we do in relation to them doesn't really matter, as long as we achieve what we want to.
Looking at the team news then ahead of Tuesday night, I know at this stage it's always tricky because you're only just back in, and Lloyd picked up his injury at the weekend. George Williams suspended. I guess what happens with Lloyd will inform where you go with organising the defence. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll see how Lloyd is this morning. We'll see how a few others are, being honest, from the weekend. So we'll catch everybody this morning and work out our way forward. And I think wherever we end up, we had to shuffle the pack a little bit last week and gave a really good performance at Doncaster and took something from the game. That'll be the intention, to try and do that again. We've shown we can do that in the past, and that'll be what we have to do again, and find a right way of delivering in a performance and a day that's a tough one for us midweek, but one that I think we can take confidence from the Plymouth away day when we went there on a Tuesday, to be able to go and be competitive and give as much energy to the game as possible.
Is Dimmy still looking okay for Tuesday night?
Yeah, Dimmy will train with the team today, so all being well, he'll be available tomorrow.
Yeah, great news for him. Just looking at one or two of your other players, Jack Lancaster's been back on the bench for the past few games. How do you see him progressing? Is he likely to be used for substitute minutes before starting, or could you chuck him straight in for a start? How would you like to see that go?
Well, he started a crew a couple of weeks ago, so we know that he could do that. It's just trying to get him up to speed. We haven't trained so much recently because of the games. He's had a few sessions, was good last week. He has to work really hard now. He's out of the team to boost his fitness and catch up on bits he's missed out on, and it's a bit of a catch up for him from where we were in pre-season with him. So I'm sure that will take its time. I'm sure he'll contribute in time. We have to decide whether that's from the start or from the bench. But we've got some cup games coming up, which might give him an opportunity. But we'll see where we are for that. But he's certainly fit and available.
And with Louis Simper coming back from Yeovil, you were talking this time last week about striking the balance and perhaps some difficult decisions there, doing what's best for the club, doing what's best for the player. In the end, did you just decide, given that he'd not really got going at Yeovil, there wasn't too much of a difficulty in bringing him back?
Yeah, I mean, it's one we're monitoring anyway. His game time hasn't been great. It's been stop-start for him with COVID, with injuries, things like that. It's a long way from Cambridge. So to get him back and around us in a period when we need the bodies and we need the players around us important. We definitely play at Stevenage next week, so that'll be good for him. And we'll see if anything happens between now and then for him as well. And then as and when we get everybody back, we'll definitely look to loan him out because he needs a run of games, but not until we're fully stocked and got the players back that we need.
Yeah, just to pick out two players who did really well at the weekend for differing reasons. You must be delighted with Sam Smith because you've asked him to do a variety of different jobs so far this season. I would imagine his preference would be to play as a centre forward, but whatever he's been asked to do, he's delivered.
Yeah, Sam's biggest strength probably is in a front two, but we haven't played that so often. Played it against Burton and was successful. Played it in a couple of other games and it hadn't worked so well for us. But he's got the ability to play in wider positions, and he's shown that a little bit at the weekend. And he's given himself up for the team. I think what's really clear is, and it takes players time when they join a club, even if they've been there before. You know, when you join a new team, build relationships with people firstly, build trust, and people know your game and understand that, and buy into and work at a way which we play. And his attitude and work ethic in the last few weeks has been outstanding. He celebrated the goal line clearance in the game at Sheffield Wednesday as if he'd scored the winning goal, and that is the defensive intensity we like to play with. He's done a really good job with that. He was excellent in the Sheffield Wednesday game. He played well on Saturday, but struggled to have as much of an impact in the attacking half of the game because the game wasn't really there so much, and we didn't probably give him those opportunities. But he showed himself really willing to do that. And I thought last Tuesday when he played up front on his own at Doncaster, very good as well. So having the option of playing across all of the front lines really important for us. We haven't got a huge number of options in wide areas. We like to have pace in wide areas of the pitch, and it just gives him another opportunity of getting games. But I think in the last few weeks, I've been really impressed with him and really, really happy with what he's given us.
Yeah, and you touched upon it at the weekend, but Connor Masterson coming off the bench on Saturday, come out of the side, but talk about playing your part late in a game. So tough in that position to come on and to get the pace of the match straight away, but he was right on it.
Yeah, and coincided with them being on their biggest attacking threat really, and Ollie Palmer. So I thought it was difficult, but he won, I think, the majority of headers that come in the box, cleared the ball really well, good composure, gave us exactly what we needed when he came on. So that's all you're ever asking for the players, whether it's from the start or when they come on, a real focus and concentration to do their job properly, do the job to the best of their ability. Mistakes will always happen, but you're always asking for that from them. And in this spell of games, that's what we need, and we need everybody. And as people have seen, the shape changes, the team changes, everybody has an opportunity during this spell, and it's up for everybody to give their best for everybody else. That's what we are, that's what we're about, and we've been doing it well, and Connor contributed well with that at the weekend.
Cool, that's great for me.
Mark, just a quick one. This is obviously a rearranged fixture for international call-ups, and a number of fans obviously lose money because they'd arranged weekends away in Morecambe, and now they go up and they won't necessarily be able to get up and see the game. Just what are your views on this international call-up and whether it should be applied to non-senior team appearances rather than just a carte blanche anyone who gets called up?
Yeah, I probably agree. Probably should be. It should be for players that have contributed or something to the team. I don't really know. I mean, this is all new ground for us, really. I guess the lesson for us is to have pre-planned a calendar and work out where the international weekends are and not book our weekends away until we know for definite. But let's be fair, in a million years, you'd never have thought Cambridge United against Morecambe would be off for international duties. So I can see why you book that one in the diary. It's frustrating for people, I think. I think that the stop gaps is difficult. Maybe one thing that should be considered is either what you've suggested there, or the fact that, last international break, I think there was 3 League One games and every game in League Two played. So there's a clear split there. Maybe just international breaks in League One would be better and easier and smoother to organise your fixture programme from the start of the season. Because one thing I'd suggest is not putting teams against people that are at the opposite end of the country on an international weekend, because the consequences of that is supporters and players and teams have to travel the distances on Tuesday nights. But organising the football calendar is no easy feat, and when you've got a national spread of teams, in the end, people are going to have to travel some big distances on days they don't want to, because you probably can't get the picture right. But maybe it needs some consideration. Certainly something we'll bring up at EFL meetings, but how much our voice will be heard, I'm not so sure.
Cheers.
Hi, Mark. You're almost a third of the way through the season now, or basically at that point. How pleased are you with how it's going at the moment?
Yeah, good. We've made a good start, probably on track for where we thought we might be. we've lost the fewest number of games outside the top 8 in the league. I know everyone panics when we draw games, but actually some great draws in there, and a lot of teams would swap places with us. So we've made good progress. We've learned some things along the way. We know that there's some monster challenges ahead, and a third of the season's gone, but 2/3 still remaining. That's a lot of football to be played. So we've had a good start, had some good results in there, and some good performances. And I think we've shown ability to adapt to different scenarios, different situations, and that is the pattern of the season. I'm sure it will play out similarly throughout the next 30 games, but we'll just have to keep being the same flexible team and group of people that we are, and deal with all the challenges that we get. You know, when the squad gets stretched and we have difficult days and difficult periods, all those things will come along, but we have to keep trying to find a way around them, and we've done that well so far. So good start. Now we have to keep going.
Are there any areas that you think you've done particularly well, kind of reflecting on the first 15 games, and any areas that you think you need to improve in particular?
Oh, wow. I mean, if I showed you some of the review stuff we do, that I could give you loads to quite minute details, which is really boring for you, but to big picture things like how many times we can score the first goal, how often we've conceded early in games. That's an obvious one. The start to games, 3 of the last 4, we've been brilliant in the start of a game. We can only improve a damning statistic over time. That's not going to change quickly. You just have to do it bit by bit. So that's important for us. The fact we haven't lost consecutive games so far in 15 games, I think is excellent. There's not many that would have achieved that, certainly as a new team in the level. And we've got a resilience and a spirit to keep going in games. That's just what we are. It's what we were last year. It's what we are now. I like the fact that when we put a team on the pitch, it sort of looks like we want it to, regardless of who it is and where they're playing. We saw that last Tuesday at Doncaster, and we'll need to see that again tomorrow. So, loads of things to improve. I think collectively, but also individuals coming into a new level, they've settled quite well. And I think players will continue to keep getting better. And they have to, because we want to create a winning team at this level. So we need the players to keep stepping up and keep doing that. And we can start to build a team that wins consistently at this level. That's what we've got to be aspiring for.
You obviously got the win against AFC Wimbledon on Saturday. What does back-to-back victories do if you can win on Tuesday? How important would that be to get 2 wins on the bounce in this league? It seems like it's all quite clustered, the division, isn't it?
Yeah, really clustered at the moment. So consecutive results. I've said this a lot last year. I think anytime you can put together consecutive wins, it does really well for you. So there's no doubt with that. I mean, it can affect and influence momentum and confidence, definitely. But yeah, I mean, it won't be the be all and end all, to be honest. There's a lot of football to play. So in the end, I think it will be harder for us to go on winning runs like we did this year. But we're still capable of doing it, and that's what we've got to aspire to go and do. But what we've got to make sure is, I think most importantly, is game on game, we just keep trying to add to the total and not stay on the same number ever for too long. That's a big thing for us. So it was important to get off of 3 wins, because we've been on that for a while at the weekend. But I think what we've managed to do throughout the whole period is make sure that our total keeps totting up game on game, because I think some teams struggle to do that. And every time we get a point and someone doesn't, that's progress as well.
With Morecambe, obviously they had a switch in manager, didn't they? And so Stephen Robinson's now in charge. What are you expecting from them in terms of how they approach the game tomorrow?
They've got one of the highest performing strikers in Europe at the moment, who's on fire. So he gives them a huge opportunity in goal threat. Good pace in wide areas to attack. So we know that the front 3 can cause you problems. We know Adam Phillips well. Young boy Alfie McCalmont on loan from Leeds. Good midfield players that can join the attack and really give them an attacking threat. They've spoken a lot recently about the goals they've conceded, or the defensive mistakes in their team. So I expect them to be really resolute and hard to create a chance against. I think it's a really tough game. I think when you put together the fact that we've got to travel there on the evening and get there for the game, it just adds on top of that situation, with a few changes and challenges ourselves. But I just think these are the sort of games we enjoy. I think they're the sort of challenges that we like to rise to and like to have. And I'm sure by the time we're finished today, we'll have a group of players going home quite excited about that challenge tomorrow.
Yeah, just to pick up on that point about Cole Stockton as well, obviously he's second top scorer in the league, isn't he? When you've got a player like that who's quite a focal point, how important is it to keep him quiet on the night?
Yeah, and the problem is you have to not get so obsessed by him that you leave space for other people. So I think it's a combination of those two things. No doubt you have to play well defensively, you have to defend your box well, you have to defend well against him. When you come up against confident players, I think that's always the case. But we've got one or two ourselves that I think people will be wary of and be thinking about how do they defend those situations. How do you stop Shiloh Tracy in a 1v1? Well, Wimbledon put 4 players around him in the first half, things like that. So that just creates space elsewhere. So we have to make sure we find the balance of how we defend with them, but make sure that there's enough in our game to cause them a problem.
Cool. Thanks, Mark.